This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Martha, would you please call roll?
Yes, Appletoft.
Here.
Garrity.
Here.
Gibbs. Inman.
Here.
Kring.
Here.
Quinn.
Here.
Rothrock.
Here.
Schlossmacher.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do not have any public hearings tonight. We do have two special presentations. Our first presentation is on waste management micro grant. Ms. Sisman, do you... there she is. Okay.
I'll make a quick introduction. We have a couple people tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Joining us tonight is John Blessing with Waste Management, and John's going to tell you a little bit about the micro grant, and then we'll tell you a little about what we're doing with our money.
Thank you for your time. We like to call it the Green Grant. One of the benefits of partnering with Waste Management is every year we open up exclusively to our customers our Green Grant program, where we, through application, offer a grant to assist in normally an environmental or city beautification project. This year, as I was explaining to the team here, we had about 4 applicants, and I'm happy to say that Mission was selected for your Adopt a Street program. So it's my pleasure to award the, was it $1,200 that was requested for the program. I would love to get a picture if you would like to.
So, do you want us to take the job?
Oh, yes, you.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thanks.
And as fancy as this check is, it won't cash. So we actually have.
It's going to try to deposit that.
We're going to endorse it. Yeah. Our pleasure to be involved in this program, and we're happy to be part of it.
Thank you very much.
Let me just fill in a few details so that you know what the grant is for. The grant had a wide variety of possible applications. We identified a need for help picking up litter on some key roads in Mission. And so actually our neighborhood services officers submitted the grant application, came up with the design of the program, and have a brochure to share with you tonight about how folks can get involved. Basically, it's an Adopt a Street program, which allows community groups to form groups of volunteers to go out and commit to a certain number of pickups per year per street. In exchange for that, they get their name on a sign. It's very similar in design to the highway cleanup that you may have seen. So the city would provide them with the supplies, so that was part of the grant. The grant provides the bags and the gloves and some of those things, and then also the signs that we would fabricate. So great. Happy to share that with you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you, sir. Then next on the agenda, are you done with that, Tanya?
Yep.
Tonight I'd like to recognize our neighborhood service officers, Nilo Fanska and James Goran. They do a great job, and at times it can be difficult and very, maybe say, thankless job, because they're always trying to get people to pay attention. So I just want to let them know how much we appreciate them and all that they do, and that's not all they do. In addition to code enforcement, James and Nilo have taken over the annual inspections of our apartments, which is a great deal. They also work with neighborhood groups and volunteers, and on cleanup events in our neighborhoods. So I know Danielle has a lot more to add to that, and about Nilo and James, so if you would, please, Danielle.
I appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you very much. So in addition to the things you just mentioned, these guys are the folks that fulfill the caring part of our department mission statement, which is to plan, build, and care. So as the Mayor indicated, they do code enforcement, over 500 cases a year. Most of them are resolved through voluntary compliance rather than going through our court system. They do a variety of community outreach programs and projects, such as the one they're doing this weekend, which is a neighborhood cleanup. But more than that, and I think what's worth recognizing is that really do just take the initiative to identify needs and to find ways to fill those needs in our community. So tonight's microgrant is a great example of that, very timely to bring to you the fact that they're out there in your community every day, educating, being one part, mental health counselor, hooking people up with resources that we maybe can't provide in-house, getting them in and really taking care of your community. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
All right, closing comments.
Okay, all right.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, and I'll get one more.
Well, we do not have any notes or bonds on the agenda this evening. Our consent agenda has one item tonight. If a council member, staff, or member of the public would like an item removed from the consent agenda, they may request that at this time. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor, I move the City Council adopt the consent agenda as printed, item 3A.
Second.
Please call roll.
Quinn,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Kring,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Garrity,
Aye.
Gibbs,
Aye.
Schlossmacher,
Aye.
Appletoft.
Aye.
Thank you.
If you have any questions regarding our community committees, you may ask staff or bring this up under new business. Public comments. This is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are not on this agenda. Action items, we do not have anything from the Planning Commission this evening. Next, our committee reports. Councilmember Schlossmacher, will you please provide a report on our Finance and Administration Committee?
Thank you, Mayor. There are 2 items tonight on our Finance and Administration report. The first item up is item number 6A, the selection of auditors. So Kansas statutes require an annual audit of the city's financial statements. The city has used Mize, Hauser & Company in the past for many years under their contract. It's on a 4-year cycle. The last time the city sought proposals for auditors was in 2013. This past summer, an RFQ for auditors was issued with 4 firms responding. All 4 firms were evaluated, references were checked, and interviewed. Staff recommends that the city enter into an agreement with Berberick, Trehan & Company to audit the city's financial statements for the 2017 fiscal year in an amount not to exceed $27,000, and that we have the option to utilize them for 3 subsequent years. Although Berberick, Trehan & Company was not the lowest bidder, they do have an impressive background and impressive experience, credentials that they bring, and they've audited many cities in similar size to Mission. So that being said, Mayor, I move that the City Council approve the selection of Berberick, Trehan & Company, PA, to perform the annual audit of the city's financial statements for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2017, and for up to 3 subsequent years.
Is there any discussion? Please call roll.
Appletoft,
Aye.
Schlossmacher,
Aye.
Gibbs,
Aye.
Garrity,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Kring,
Aye.
Rothrock, Quinn.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up, we have item 6B. It's our classification and compensation plan implementation update. So this spring, the city contracted with the Austin Peters Group to conduct a classification and compensation study. During a work session this summer, the council heard the initial findings of the study and directed staff to develop an implementation plan for the study's recommendations. The plan was approved by council in August. Since then, and after fully costing out an alternative scenario, there's an option to more fully fund the recommendations and address the market compression issue more comprehensively. The additional cost to accomplish this more comprehensive one-time compression adjustment is approximately $23,016. So Mayor, I move the City Council approve additional funding in the amount of $23,016 to implement the market pay compression recommendations from the 2017 classification and compensation study.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call roll.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Inman.
Aye.
Kring.
Aye.
Appletoft.
Aye.
Schlossmacher.
Aye.
Garrity.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you.
That concludes the Finance and Administration report.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Inman, will you please provide a report on the Community Development Committee?
Thank you, Mayor. There's nothing to report from the CDC.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do not have any unfinished business this evening. Under new business, we have 6 business items tonight. We'll begin with our items related to the Gateway development. Ms. Smith, will you provide an update?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I know we just spent the last hour talking about this, but because we don't take minutes during our work session, I do want to just provide a quick recap so that that can be captured in the minutes of our City Council meeting this evening. So as you know, since late 2016, we have been working with the developer on issues related to this Gateway redevelopment project plan. And on the planning and zoning front, the preliminary site plan for the current project was approved by the City Council on January 20th of 2016 after a public hearing before the Planning Commission in September of 2015. The Planning Commission did grant final site plan approval to the project at their March 2017 meeting. Since the project's first appearance on the horizon here in Mission in 2005, the developer had identified several unique development challenges and added costs, which created a project financing gap. Mr. Kimmel discussed kind of his analysis of that gap and his determination from that perspective that without a conversation surrounding some public incentives that the project would not be economically viable. So the developer has made the request for the city to consider using a variety of economic development tools to establish that public-private partnership, which would be mutually beneficial to both the city and the developer. So as we talked about over the last several months, your staff and the consultant team have been working with the developer and their team in reviewing and negotiating the terms of the city's potential participation in the project, and is now pleased to present a recommendation for that project. I would ask that the PowerPoint presentation from the work session be incorporated as a part of the minutes in the packet so that we capture all of that information in general. But I will just hit kind of the highlights of the terms of the redevelopment agreement. Again, in terms of financing mechanisms, the redevelopment agreement as proposed would commit 100% of the CID sales tax fee over the 22-year period to the developer. In addition, the project or the developer would receive 100% of the Gateway area's property TIF over that 20-year term. The project would receive 55% of the city's general sales tax collected on the Gateway site over the 20-year TIF term, and 89% of the city's transient guest tax collected from the hotels at the Gateway site over that 20-year TIF term. And in addition, the project would receive the IRB sales tax exemption on construction materials. In terms of the benefits to the city, then we would share a 45% share of that general city sales tax over that 20-year term, 11% of the transient guest tax, stormwater assessments and stormwater utility fees, additional incremental special sales tax revenues coming from the quarter-cent street sales tax and 3/8 parks and recreation sales tax, property taxes from the TIF, the base value from the site, business license, and a variety of franchising fees. As we looked at that and estimated over the course of the 20-year TIF term, that had the potential to generate about $4.74 million of revenue for the City of Mission. Present value was 29.6. I didn't look that. In addition, the development agreement addresses concerns that we heard expressed over participating in legacy costs. We reviewed those in terms of approved eligible costs, which have been included in the development budget. We've looked at project milestones. We've looked at capping the TIF and CID allocations available if Phase 1 were the only piece of the project to be built. I would be happy to answer any questions. I'm sure anyone on the development team, and I think Mr. Valenti would like to speak as well.
I just have one question or comment. Year 4, my understanding, the city will be receiving almost a few dollars short of $2 million a year, year 4 and after, if the sales tax.
If the dedicated sales taxes are renewed, that's what the estimates would reflect, yes.
City will be receiving $2 million a year of this project.
Yes. And I did mean to mention that we also, so the TIF and CID processes we conducted the public hearing on the TIF project plan and the CID petition at our August 2017 meeting. So we've taken all the necessary steps in order to be able to present kind of the package this evening for the City Council consideration.
May I ask a question, please? Yeah. I feel like we have unfinished business from our work session. If we vote on these items in the affirmative, then we are approving the TIF and the redevelopment agreement.
Yeah, this is the time to discuss.
Okay, so now we're
Yes.
going to revisit. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Tom, did you want to say?
I think so.
And answer some questions?
Yes, I would. Good evening, Mayor, City Councilors. Thank you for having us here tonight. On behalf of my partners, Alan Gross and Joe Gaithy and my son Matt, I want to say thank you, especially to Laura, the staff, Bruce, Gary, Steve, everyone that's been involved, Pete. This has been a long, tough road to hoe, but I believe that we are at the right at the starting line for great success. And Councilman Appletoft, I'll address your question specifically, but I want to step back a little bit. When we came back to you in December of 2016 and January of this year, we proposed doing this project in phases, primarily because we need to establish confidence among your citizens, among the banking community, and especially among the tenant community, that this project was going to happen. And that the only way that we could establish that confidence was by starting it in phases. And that's why we had proposed to do the first phase with the retail underneath the 3 levels of residential. As you know, we have a great deal of money invested in this project. We have never given up. We have never gone away. We have tried and tried and tried. I believe that we have the right combination of uses that will make this project a great success. As you said earlier, Ron, this is a good deal for both the developer and the city. We talked back in February and March about there was going to be some horse trading going on, and there was horse trading that went on, not in the bad sense, but in the sense that there was heavy negotiation. I'm sure that both sides felt that they were giving up more than they should have, but when it's all said and done, this is going to be a great deal for the City of Mission. It's going to be a good deal for the developers. We are in the business of making money. If we were to just do phase 1, not only do we not make money, we essentially will lose all of the money that we have invested. I can't even think of the time period it would take for us to recoup what we have invested just from phase 1. So, as I said earlier, this was proposed to you to be done in phases so that we could establish credibility. Shortly after making our initial proposal, I said that hotels would be included in the project. And once we signed our franchise agreements with the Aloft and the Element Hotel, I was willing to announce those. I wasn't willing to announce what hotels they would be until we had that agreement signed. Our residential component anticipates a robust rent. In order for us to get a robust rent, we need a project that is beautiful, safe, clean, and provides its residents with opportunities that go beyond just a place to live. Bruce used the word synergy before, and I know it's an overused word, but I think it's quite apropos in this case. We're looking at a loft hotel, which is a really nice quality hotel, attractive to younger people, younger business people. An Element Hotel, which is on the same scale, the same kind of quality, but for longer stays. We've committed to doing the office building and the conference and training center as part of that. I'd like to announce the tenant for that, but we don't have that deal yet done. However, I'm confident we're going ahead with the office building and the conference and training center. The last component is, and no one wants to use the word Walmart, the replacement for Walmart. And we have realized very early on when Walmart was no longer in this project that we needed to come up with something that was different, unique, and work together well with all of the other components of the project so that they each fed off each other. We are looking at a large-scale food, entertainment, market concept that is going to be architecturally stunning, that will have an indoor and outdoor component, and which should be, I don't want to say unique because someone will always bring an example of one that's someplace else, but it's certainly unique for this area. When we look at, as I said, our business, we have got to secure this financing. And in order to secure the financing, we've got to get the tenants. As Bruce said earlier, in some respects, the bank is as much concerned about those tenants as you are. They've got to produce the sales, and the apartments need to produce the rents, and the hotels need to produce the room rates that we have projected. Otherwise, we go nowhere. This is a little bit of a chicken and an egg situation. And I ask you, please, in order to get this project off the ground, in order to get confidence back into the retailers, the restaurants, confidence in your community, we need to go forward with this plan as outlined by your staff. An anecdote. One of the partners in the entity that we're dealing with that would be putting this replacement for Walmart together, the food, entertainment, the indoor and outdoor uses, was a broker with whom we had signed the lease on one of the other iterations of this project. For a long time, we had to get over with him the issue of, was this project really happening? It's the same issue that everyone is asking about. Is it really happening? There are issues that we need to resolve. They're not great issues, but there are still issues that we need to resolve with that potential tenant to get to the finish line. I don't want to announce to you a half-baked idea, a tenant that doesn't come through, and then everyone will be disappointed all over again. The commitment that you would make is a covenant that we've got to keep on our side. We've got to produce the users in this project that financially justify the financing that we will be seeking. And that is going to require us to have a project that works well as a whole. The retail landscape over the past 10 years, as most of you know, has changed dramatically. We need to do things that are, quote, internet proof. This project is pretty much internet proof. I feel confident that we will bring those tenants that would replace Walmart to the table. But I don't want to guarantee to you that we're signing a particular tenant at this time, because they're not signed yet. So I would ask the council's approval of this development agreement, the TIF and the CID, so that we can move forward. And I'm happy to answer other questions that you have. Yes?
I've got an easy question for you. It's a two-parter. What percentage of confidence do you have in getting this tenant that you're hoping?
You know what, can I answer it a different way?
Maybe.
I'm very confident in getting what I have described to you, that concept done.
Okay.
I'm confident that we're going to get it done with that tenant, but it's not done yet.
Right. And
This is the right tenant. This is, more importantly, the right use. There are others with whom we could do this same kind of deal.
That was part two of my
Yeah.
question. So, yeah, very good. Any other questions? Huh?
Yeah, Tom, again, I preface my remarks by saying I think what you have proposed and what this deal is, I'm in support of. But you also thought that apartments and hotels next to Walmart was also a good deal for the city that we did not find as appealing. So I guess I feel like we are one step ahead of you, Tom. We're willing to commit on our end to a package of incentives. And you are not ready yet to commit the tenants, which is fine. I understand that. I understand things work at different. But why are we stepping forward to make this commitment? Why can't we wait until you get the commitments that you need so that we can jointly agree and we know what we're voting for? Because this is something I've been asking for. I brought this up a number of times, that not knowing the tenants is going to be, and I understand financially you've got to bring somebody that produces revenue. I understand the financial side. I'm not as worried about the financial side. I do agree with you. You do need to bring those tenants that produce revenue. Otherwise, this is going to be a bad situation. I'm more worried about the quality. That's what I'm focusing on for the city. You said you wanted something unique, something that was beautiful. I want all those things. When do we sync up and our commitment and your commitment align? Because right now I feel like you're one step behind where we are. Why can't we sync up? Either you get your tenants or we wait until you get your tenants. What is the issue there?
Again, Ron, we need to start the project in order to give confidence. And that was why we proposed to do it in the phases. In part, tenants are skeptical. I'd like to be able to announce that tenant, but until we have it signed, I can't. As I answered Pat, I am very confident in the concept. We're not going to get financing unless this body approves that deal. And we go nowhere without it. And I have no better reason than that. And in the perfect world, we'd have everybody signed. One of the other tenants in that area Matt and my partner Joe are meeting with Monday. I hope, you know, we're going to get things done. We had some other comments from the larger tenant today. We've got to address those. Getting a retail deal done in a large space takes an incredible amount of time. And it always takes longer than you expect. I understand that what you're saying in terms of why can't you be at the same line that we are, that we, the city, are. We're just not there yet because of all those reasons. But we'll never get...
May I say something?
Yeah, but we'll never get there unless this gets approved.
You are there. I mean, I believe the concept is more important than the actual person that's going in. It's like you said, there's different. If we don't have this one, we can get it. Hopefully, we'll have this one you're talking about. But I think this concept is what we're looking at right now. And it's a great concept because it's not only going to give us $2 million a year, it works very well with other small businesses. It's going to be a great partnership, and I thank you, and I think we're ready to get it going.
But aren't we, as a governing body, the catalyst of this? I mean, it comes to a point we get off, everybody's had all their homework, but aren't we the ones that should decide that there's going to have a little bit of unknown, but shouldn't we be the catalyst now to go, boom, let's get this rolling for our city? I don't believe we have great chances that we're going to go under if this doesn't, I mean, if this doesn't roll. So, as a catalyst, a group of catalysts, I'm ready to vote.
I think just one thing I'm still struggling with a little bit here is if we're going to commit public incentives to this project, I agree with the mayor that the concept is what really matters here, and I'm really impressed with the plan you brought back. I think it's, I mean, what we've seen is potentially just a great fit, but to commit public incentives to that without being able to communicate to the public what those concepts are is a little concerning to me. And I don't know if you're willing to elaborate any more on just the concepts without getting into the specifics on who the brand is.
Well, I think I generally described it. I'll give you a little bit more detail. These are food concepts, restaurants, casual food, market concepts, a butcher, a produce vendor, and then in addition we have entertainment spaces. And those entertainment spaces are changeable, flexible, but a fun place to be. With shuffleboard, ping pong, cornhole, and then a large entertainment space where we would have bands perform, and a combination of indoor and outdoor space. What you had before on Rowe and Johnson was the back end of Walmart. This would be an outdoor area with a beautiful garden, beautiful seating, and our intent is to have, at times bring in food trucks, at times bring in the farmer's market. So have this all integrated. And again, it will work wonderfully with those two hotels. It will work wonderfully with that office and the conference and training center, and also, be a great place to live. In addition, I believe that we will, once we do announce it, we'll even improve the quality of the small retail tenants. I'm not concerned about the small retail tenants. I know we'll get them, but I believe we'll improve the quality of them. So I don't know if that's the kind of detail you were looking for, but that's generally it. It is a large space that is geared toward food, entertainment, and a good time.
I think that helps. And just personally, one of the things that I was pretty pleased to see with it is kind of the flexibility of that space. It does look like it's a little more diverse, and we're not putting all our eggs in one big basket. So.
And it's the same plan that we saw the other day. It has not changed.
No, it hasn't changed, Susie, at this point, but again, I don't want to, it can change, you know, and by the way, after it's open, it will change. And one of the things that we're looking at is this, I'll use this euphemism, plug and play. If one concept isn't working correctly or working well, not we, or the operator will remove that concept and plug in another. So I think it's got great flexibility. We have a project outside of our hometown in Syracuse. It's anchored by Costco. We put in a movie tavern theater, which is a great 11-screen eating, drinking, movie-watching paradise. Reclining seats, you press a button, the server comes to your table, you get, you know, you have a, I'm not going to say it's the greatest food in the world, but it's very good. We have a component of doctor's offices in that development. We have a residential component. We have small store retail. We have restaurants. We are building a true hotel right next to the Costco. Literally right next to the Costco. The second story just went on last week. In our business, we had to become very creative in looking at uses that were going to replace the Walmarts, the Barnes and Nobles, the Best Buys. They're fading. They're not there anymore. So we believe that these are the uses that will work, and they'll work in conjunction with each other. They'll feed off of each other. So I'm not going to name the tenant. I think I've given you quite a bit of detail on the concept. I think it is an exciting, attractive concept that you will be proud of, and we will be proud of, and the city will make money, and the developer will make money, and I believe that it will continue to spur growth along Johnson Drive. I know for sure that that Wild Oats building is going to get leased now. That's been empty for as long as I've been here.
Well, it's a good project, like I said, for all the businesses up and down Johnson Drive. This complements, and that's what we were looking for. We like mom and pop stores, and we want to keep them. And I think this complements them, and it complements the businesses even on the west side of Lamar. So I agree.
And one more question, please. Yes. This is the last opportunity for the city to assert any kind of control on this project. Once we make this approval, if we approve these ordinances and this plan, if for some reason your concept doesn't materialize, your vendor, or your tenant doesn't sign, then you're basically, you can bring anything that you want that makes financial sense.
No, that's not true. We've got to bring something in that comports with your guidelines.
Within our codes, within our...
Yeah, but it's... I can't tell you what that use would be.
But it is possible that if these tenants don't work out, the ones that you have working on, you may have to switch concepts, and you may bring something totally different, and then the city no longer has any say in what goes into that property, as long as it complies with our codes, which there was a project that complied with our ordinances previously that we were not going to support. Well, I wasn't going to support. I didn't speak for everybody. So, okay.
No, and I understand.
I don't believe that's right anyway, Ron. I believe that there's a big enough difference in the project itself, and it avoids the development agreement. We have to redo the development agreement.
Yeah, I'm not.
At least go back to the planning commission.
Yeah, we'd have to go back to the planning commission. You approve or disapprove what the planning commission does. I do believe that you've got some protections, and I do believe that we will put this concept in because quite frankly, there are no other retailers that are willing to do this project right now. We don't have one in a large format. We have tried. I believe that this is a concept that we can make happen, and it will be a good one. We have an incredible amount of money invested in this project. We need to make it work well. We need to make each of the components work well and work well together. I would ask for your trust that we are going to see it to conclusion. But we won't see it to conclusion if we don't get to the starting block.
Mayor, just a point of order. I think we're out of order here, having this discussion without the motion on the floor, as we are in the middle of our meeting. A work session. So if I could, I'll make a motion.
Yes, step down. Tom, thank you. I think it's a great partnership.
Thank you.
I have a question,
Yes,
and this
sure.
might be for Bruce or Laura, but in section 501, where we talked about in the agreement the timely payment for taxes, are we still tied to that 3-year timeline if he were to follow in orders? Are we still tied to the 3 years
3-year delinquency.
before we could take any action? Yes, but you've got taxes that are delinquent now.
Right.
So no, under the agreement, no, because his taxes would be due and payable. I think in the first part of that paragraph, it talks about paid when due.
Okay.
So that would mean that if they were not paid each year, going forward on an annual basis, it would be an event of default that they would have to remedy, right?
Get over it.
Yes.
Okay.
And once Councilman Quinn makes his motion, then we can discuss.
So Mayor, I move that the governing body adopt an ordinance of the governing body of the City of Mission, Kansas, making findings and adopting a 4th amended redevelopment project plan for Project Area 1 pursuant to KSA 12-1770 at Secular and amendments thereto the Mission Gateway Project.
Is there any discussion?
Bruce might have a comment, or Pete, or Gary, for or against, or just say anything they'd like to say about the project and the financing.
Okay.
Mayor, I would like to just make one point.
Sure. Yes.
Mayor and Council, as I was listening to the exchange between Councilmember Appletoffen and Mr. Valenti, I was really noodling on the point that Ron was making, which I think is a really good one, and one that took me a while to cogitate on about, well, why can't we be in sync here? I mean, it is kind of a fundamental question, and I got to thinking about the sources and uses of funds of the whole project, which I've been spending a lot of time on, and as you know, it's about a $200 million project, okay? And there's 3 major funding sources of that $200 million. The developer is expecting, and I think the numbers are about right, that about $118 million of that will come from bank financing. So, and that's about 59%. Okay? And that bank financing has to be paid back from the operating revenues of the project. And the lease payments that they get from the rental units, the apartments, as well as the hotel operator and all the retail and the office space will all drive those operating revenues that they can use to pay debt service. I'll come back to that in a minute. But that bank financing is about 59% of the whole deal. Equity is about $54 million, and that's about 27% of the overall $200 million. Okay, so that's the next biggest pot of money, and that's more than we typically see, and that's because really the developer is putting in a proportionately large amount to make up for some of those legacy costs that really can't be borne by future bank financing. So they've got more skin in the game than we typically see on a deal like this because of some of those legacy costs that have to be brought along and brought to completion. And then, as you know, the SO bond financing for the TIF and the CID bonds is about $28 million. That's about 14%. And that 14%, you know, that's the smallest amount, but that is almost the linchpin for the overall viability of the deal, because without knowing that they've got the prospect of reaching that $28 million of bond proceeds, give or take, roughly 14%, without knowing that, they don't know how much debt they need to get from the bank, they don't know how much equity, more equity they might need to bring into the deal, and that upsets the whole equation of, is this project viable from their perspective, right? Because obviously, as you know from your own experience, equity is really crucial. What are you bringing out of your own pocket and your partner's pockets to this deal? But then also the bank financing, again, hinges on the lease terms, and the lease terms are, you know, really boiled down to what is the rent per square foot that they can get for that food, beverage, market, entertainment use. What are the contributions towards common area maintenance and other, you know, all those provisions that go into leases, who pays for the utilities, so on and so forth. And they can only know what they can offer in terms of lease terms to those retail tenants and other tenants based on how the overall deal fits together. So as I was thinking about this, I thought, you know, Ron's really asking a really good question, and I think it would be easier for all of us if we could have a signed lease commitment from these retail tenants. But Tom and his partners can't give those lease terms to those tenants, you know, dollars and cents. This is what we'll accept per square foot. This is what you have to pay for utilities and so on, without knowing how the overall financing pieces fit together. Because without that TIF and CID, that upsets their whole debt equity mix and their assumptions for that. So that's not to say, you know, dismiss what Councilmember Appletop is raising, but from a financial perspective, I was looking at it from a little bit different perspective and seeing that without giving the developer this opportunity to perform, and again, you're not committing anything unless they perform, but without giving them the opportunity to achieve on that $28 million, the rest of the financing is in doubt, and if that's in doubt, then they really can't commit to lease terms with those tenants. So it's a little bit of a betwixt and between situation as it relates to the financing. And so I hope that was helpful, just to reiterate how all those pieces fit together and why we're in a little bit of the jam that we're in with the lease, I think.
And so Bruce, as our financial consultant, do you think this is a win-win and a good partnership?
I do. Councilmember Gibbs, you know, Tom, I'll be candid as I always am with you. Tom said he thought that both sides had to give financially. I really didn't see us giving a whole lot up financially. I do think there is, if you approve these agreements, there is some faith that you have to undertake that all the elements will come together to fruition as is being proposed. You are taking a risk in that regard, but from a financial perspective, the city is outperforming what I had actually hoped we would be able to achieve. I think the developer was responsive to our articulation of the city's needs in terms of the sales tax allocation, in terms of a lot of the other risk mitigations that Laura was able to articulate. And so as your financial advisor, I think you've actually done very well on the city side. But in exchange for that, I think it's fair to say you are being asked to take it on faith that the developer will now perform as planned.
Any more discussion?
Gary, have you got anything you'd like to add?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Gary Anderson, Gilmore Bell, here with my colleague Kevin Wimpy, and along with Pete Hammond. You know, these decisions are always difficult, and you've heard me give this speech before. On one hand, the developer is over here trying to maximize their internal rate of return. As a city, in a perfect world, you wouldn't give any incentives. But what usually happens is you sort of migrate somewhere to the middle as you kind of wrestle through something that hopefully everybody compromises and you get to a place where you're both comfortable. And I think part of that decision is what are the numbers, what are the economics. Part of it is what is the project, from a community standpoint, what's the benefits you're getting. And then a lot of times people get interested in the specific tenants, which I think is what Councilman Appletoff is focused on. And I'll tell you, on most of the economic development projects we work on, I assume Pete would echo this, most of the time you know about half the tenants. You don't know all the tenants. You might know one or two of the big ones, but there's a whole bunch of tenants you don't know. So the question becomes, I think, from a policy standpoint, are you comfortable with where you are, not knowing exactly who the tenants are going to be, not guaranteed that this, food concept will actually be what's in there? As Bruce and Tom have told you, the economics, probably long-term from the project, only work if you get very high per square foot returns on that retail square footage. But the flip side is, if you have another 2008 and those tenants, disappear, they're probably going to try to put some tenants in there to get some revenue. Now, they may not get all their money back over time if that's the result, and you may be disappointed that you didn't get that concept. But if you get most of the project or all the rest of the project, I think the question becomes, is that still a win-win from a policy standpoint? And I think that's why you folks make the big money and get to make these decisions. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the actions that are before you tonight, either now or as you continue your discussion.
How about you, Pete?
Tough act to follow. As Gary said, Gary and I do a lot of incentive transactions in the metro area and throughout the states of Missouri and Kansas. And I have no reservation in telling you this is a good deal. It's a good deal for the city. It's a good deal for our community. But more importantly, this agreement that we've worked on for all these months protects the city. And each time we've had an iteration of this agreement, I've told you the same thing. And each time you've been protected. And this time you will be too. So I think we've done our job, and now your job is to vote in favor and get the project off the ground. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have one question.
Sure.
What potential amount or what kind of changes could trigger a whole rezoning process if this concept didn't come through?
Any substantial change to the site plan and the development plan triggers a complete revision, complete review all the way back through the system.
What is substantial?
It's a staff call, but generally if 10% or more of the square footage changes either in configuration or in size. So it's a pretty small threshold to get back to the planning commission. And we'll be watching that, obviously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Any more questions? Please call roll.
I didn't know if there was any, Mayor, if there's anybody in the public that wanted to.
Sure. Come on.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I apologize about being late. My wife was working late and my babysitter fell through. New parent blues. My name is Josh. I live on Reeds Road. I've been following this closely. I'm a big fan of responsible development. And everything I've seen in the presentations, the minutes, the packets, yes, I use the city's website, very well organized. There's talk about a financing gap. And I just want the council, and you, Mr. Mayor, I don't want you to be under the assumption that it's my job as a taxpayer, your job as taxpayers, and our elected representatives to bridge that financing gap. What's clear is that the timing when they bought this parcel of land way back in the day, there were elevated values. They're into this for a lot of money. That's not our problem. That's not my problem as a taxpayer to subsidize unfortunate or bad business decisions. I'm a business owner myself. If I'm an energy trader. I've lost a lot of money on trades, and I don't come here asking for subsidize that. I pull up my boots and I get after it, and I go after it again. I am really concerned about this project. we're talking $100 million plus, right? I mean, the budget's gone up and down. They can't afford to pay their property taxes. What does that say? If you'll look up Cameron Development Group in Syracuse University was building a bookstore. And it was the same problem. They were having trouble coming up with financing. A lot of hoops were jumping through. Syracuse owned the land. They had the luxury to release Cameron from it and move on. We don't. But what we can do is, we're only 1 year out from being able to foreclose on that property. And you can hit the reset button. It's my understanding, the foreclosure laws of the state of Kansas, it's a 3-year cooling off period from the first day of delinquent tax, which, if I looked it up right, and I could be wrong, someone please correct me if I am, was fall of 2015. So we're 1 year out from that. If they're struggling to pay their tax, they've been holding us hostage with a barren, dirty, gross lot for this long. As a taxpayer, I'm willing to wait 1 more year to get either a responsible developer. I do not want this project to get halfway through and then they come with their hat in hand saying, ooh, we're over budget, we need some general obligation bonds. Because then we're going to have a half-finished construction site, which is even more dangerous than an empty, barren lot. Thank you.
Any other?
Tom, do you want to address that?
Susan? You can if you want, Tom. You don't need to.
I came here in 2005. I was asked.
Let me say something. Right, Susie, I'm sorry, but I think you spoke out of turn. You know, we're trying to concentrate on the future, not the past. That's what we're treating this development as a new development, and that's how I think we should continue to treat it. Now, if you want to say something, Tom, you're welcome to, but you're not necessarily you have to.
We tore down the mall so that the city could undertake its stormwater detention or stormwater mitigation program. When we did that, we were told that there would be incentives available in order to build a mixed-use project that is very expensive. I can't help but address the gentleman's comment about our deal with Syracuse University, which we sued Syracuse University on. We won a preliminary injunction. 2 weeks ago, we just won an appeal, and I'm sure that we will win the final case. We had our financing. We were ready to go.
Thank you.
Hi, Solly Flora, 6501 Maple Drive, and I just wanted to say that I share some of Ron's concerns, but I also appreciate all the work the staff has done in ensuring that at least financially this seems to be a good deal for the city. My only main concern in taking a vote tonight is the development plan didn't go live to everyone in the public until maybe about 8 hours ago. So there hasn't really been a lot of time for reflection or an opportunity for anyone else to know that this is going to be a vote in front of the council tonight, and so I ask you to consider that.
Anyone else? Please call roll.
Schlesmacher?
Aye.
Garrity?
Aye.
Quinn?
Aye.
Appletoft?
No.
Rothrock?
Nay.
Inman?
Aye.
Kring?
Aye.
Gibbs?
Aye.
Mayor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Yes.
Mayor, I move the city council adopt an ordinance authorizing the creation of the Mission Gateway Community Improvement District Number 3 in the city of Mission, Kansas, authorizing the completion of certain project improvements relating thereto, approving the estimated cost of such project improvements, levying a community improvement district sales tax within such district, and providing for the method of financing the same.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call roll.
Gibbs?
Aye.
Inman?
Aye.
Kring?
Aye.
Quinn?
Aye.
Rothrock?
Nay.
Schlesmacher?
Aye.
Appletoft?
No.
Garrity?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Demonstration of wire.
Mayor, I move the city council adopt a resolution determining the intent of the city of Mission, Kansas to issue its industrial revenue bonds in one or more series in the aggregate amount not to exceed $214,558. I'm sorry, did I say that? $214,558,862 to finance the costs of acquiring, constructing, and equipping multiple facilities for the benefit of Orion Realty LLC and its successors and assigns.
Any discussion? Please call roll.
Appletoft,
No.
Quinn,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Gibbs,
Aye.
Kring,
Aye.
Garrity,
Aye.
Schlesmacher.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mayor, I move the city council adopt an ordinance of the governing body of the city of Mission, Kansas, approving the third amended and restated redevelopment agreement for the Mission Gateway project and approving the termination of the Mission Gateway Community Improvement District number 1 and the Mission Gateway Community Improvement District number 2.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I've got one thing. I just wanted to reiterate that I think there's a little bit of risk that I've been taking without knowing some of the potential tenants, but I think, Tom, I thank you for presenting the concepts in public. I think it's really important for the public to understand some of the same things that we've been presenting. I think from, at least since I've been involved, this really is the most viable project we've seen. I think it's going to be a great fit for the city. So
Thank you.
optimistic we can move forward with this, finally get something going.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Please call roll.
Garrity,
Aye.
Appletoft,
No.
Schlesmacher,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Nay.
Quinn,
Aye.
Kring,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Well, you have another motion. Debbie?
This is the appointment of the city land use attorney. Mayor, I move the city council approve Pete Heaven of Spencer Fane as the city's land use attorney for a term expiring December 31st, 2018, and confirm that the firm of Lathrop & Gage, in consultation with Pete Heaven, will continue to represent the city of Mission as it relates to the litigation involving the transportation utility.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call roll.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Garrity,
Aye.
Schlesmacher,
Aye.
Appletoft,
Aye.
Kring,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Gibbs.
Aye.
The last resolution we'll be making in this particular time frame is the resolution establishing and appointing a city historian. Mayor, I move the city council adopt a resolution establishing the volunteer position of city historian for the city of Mission, Kansas, and appoint Frank Bruce to the position through December 31st, 2018.
Second.
I just want to comment.
Yeah.
Frank Bruce, Ward 3, is one of the most fantastic residents we've ever had. He knows every piece of concrete that was put in this city, every tree that's gone up, every tree that's come down. He is a founder, if you will, of this community. His whole family lives here. It's just a proud moment that we actually get to appoint him as a historian.
Yeah.
Could we bring him up, please?
Frank, could you come up, please?
Thank you, all of you.
You vote first, Frank.
Yeah.
Say one thing, and this has been a long time coming. It was Debbie's idea, and it's just taken a while, and so please call roll.
Quinn. Rothrock. Kring.
Aye.
Inman.
Aye.
Garrity.
Aye.
Gibbs. Schlesmacher. Appletoft.
Aye.
Motion carries. Frank.
Well, I want to thank you, but I want you to know that history is not any individual, it's all of us. And I was really kind of blown away. My daughter Deborah started a Facebook page called I Grew Up in Mission. And people that I consider to be young kids had a lot of memories about old Mission. And I'm sure all you do, the people here in this group do too. And it may be the old round building that preceded the Powell Center, or the old swimming pool, a lot of different things. So what I hope we do is we concentrate on that view of history from all of our perspectives. Thank you.
Just as an FYI, we're going to try to set up a history walking tour. So he'll take the council, we're going to go down Johnson Drive, and he will fill us in on history.
I know Susie orchestrated, was that a couple years ago, Susie, 2 or 3?
Oh yeah, a couple years ago.
And that was fantastic.
All the old timers?
Yes, yes.
That's great.
Well, Tom, like I said, I look forward to a great partnership.
Mayor, so do we. Thank you very much. As Nick said, I think this is the right project at the right time, and we need to get started.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next is comments from the City Council. This is an opportunity for comments from our council members.
This is just a reminder that we'll have a Ward 3 meeting tomorrow evening at the Community Center, 7 p.m. Cookies and coffee provided.
Thank you.
We have a really fun morning planned tomorrow, and I would like to have the council know if you can. Santa Fe Elementary School will be here at 10:45 in the morning. They have taken on, the 3rd grade class at Santa Fe has taken on a project. They've viewed Mohawk Park and decided what they don't like and what they do like about it. They've also interviewed some of the residents around Mohawk Park and figured out what they would like to have done to it. And they have 6 PowerPoints that they're going to present to the council and to the staff tomorrow. But we're also going to have some costs because these 3rd graders have decided they would like to help fund this if they can. So it's going to be interesting to see when they see the cost for a fountain in Mohawk Park if they'll be able to fund it or not. But they have 6 really cool ideas. So they're going to be here tomorrow morning. There will be 24 of them. And they will be doing a PowerPoint, 3rd graders. They will be here, and then they're going to go down to for a tour of the police department. They'll have lunch in our park, and then they're going to the fire department. This is Government Day tomorrow for them. And this has come out of our government, of our principals meetings that we've had on the roundtables. So I would like to see all of you who can come tomorrow. I think that would be phenomenal. At 10:45 right here. 10:45. They will be arriving at 10:45. So I think it'd be nice if we were here at 10:45.
Well, thanks for organizing that too. And Susie's been taking the council around to all kinds of businesses, and great to learn about our businesses and meet them one-on-one.
Well, and another thing, I got a call the other day that some of all our schools are going out caroling. They're going to go to all the different places and carol for Christmas, and elementary schools are going. And it's really got to be a project, and the community is all coming together with partnerships for the city. Also, I have also received a call from the American government classes at Shawnee Mission North, and they would like to have us come up to their government classes and speak to them, all the council. So if any of you are interested in going, I have the date. You'll look, and it's only like a half an hour, but I think it would be kind of fun. They'd like to have us come to Shawnee Mission North. There'll be 3 government classes, and we will tell them what we do and ask, and then answer their questions.
Excellent.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes?
Mayor, I move the city council adjourn to executive session.
Oh, well, we have just, I'm sorry, just one other thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just a minute. The mayor report, and I'll say it real quick. I guess the only thing I have to say is I am excited about this project. It has been a long time coming, and I think this is the right project, the right time. And, you know, we're just excited about it. We're excited about a project working with our small businesses up and down Johnson Drive. It's going to be wonderful. So that's all in the mayor's report, and now the city administrator's report.
Seeing how Mr. Garrity's on a mission, I have no report to say to the mayor.
It's probably a wise decision.
Okay, Mayor.
saying seven.
And please say, I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna come back.
We'll be 7 minutes and we'll be back. What time? 8:19.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast. 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 This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Surrounding community, mission and its surrounding community.